We continue learning Kitzur Yomi. We're middle of Simin Chof Aleph, the halachis of Tashlumin. And the Kitzur begins in Sif Gimel. Ein Tashlumin leTfila Tfilas Muchala. In the previous year, we learned that Tashlumin is first you daven the new Tefillah. Then you daven again a Mincha on the second Mincha. That's the Tashlumin for a Shachris that was missed. Now says the Kitzur in Sif Gimel, there's only Tashlumim for the previous Tefillah. If you miss two Tefillahs, ein la'oi Tashlumim kigoin. La'yisbal shachas la'mincha, yimish shachas la'mincha, zay mincha yishlo Tashlumim. For mincha this Tashlumim, balachar ma'ariv asmuchalot. That's where you daven mincha nachamol. Aval shachas ein la Tashlumim. Why? Kivin shavar shtei zmanei Tefillahs. Shlo lo bizmanei, and therefore there's nothing to be done right now. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Then, Im lo yispal shachris, yoch lashlim la'achar mincha. But wait, didn't we just violate the rule that you missed two tefillah, shachris and musaf? Says the Kitzur, no. Since most of you even daven after mincha, and came lover stays zmane tefillah, it's not called you missed two zman tefillah. To lachar tefillah musaf. However, but you cannot daven musaf twice as Tashlumin. The Kibbutz Shemas Karva musaf. And in Rosh Chodesh tefillah shachris is no shechus the shachris. However, dayin lo avar zman tefillah shachris l'spal shachris kedaven shachris aval bishik var l'spal musaf, or you daven two minchas. Siv hey ain't Tashlumin tefillah shefset al bezman tefillah smuchala. Only the zman of the next tefillah. Avol lo b'shashin zman tefillah. Keep going. If one waited a long time after davening the tefillah that he was able to daven in yachol yisrael oita shumei tefillah she'efsid lefi shlo yisktiknu ta'ashum the tefillah she'efsid elo bizman shu oisik b'tefillah shechayv hashah. Says the Kitzur, while you're davening that mincha, you could daven a second mincha, but not 2 hours later. Shas kiv shoisik b'tefillah hu mashlim gam mashachiser. But says the Kitzur, if 2 hours later you remember, it's too late. However, very important, note 22 points out that avada lechatchila yishtu, what the Kitzur said. However, if one did not, you're allowed to. So avada yimishachas, you should have a mincha. Say the ashrei and have mincha again. But let's say you didn't, and 2 hours later, like, oh shoot, shachris. So according to the Kitzur, you wouldn't be able to daven now, but the Mishmur Paskins, you still can. Sevav tilas tashlumin shum isvalel. Tashlumin, that one is davening chayav leisvalel kmo shum isvalel as tfilas achayva. Has to be identical as the tefillah that you're davening right now. Keep going. So now you're like, oh shoot, now you daven Ma'ariv, but it's Shabbos. So what do I do now? Says the Kitzur, no. Misval arvish tayim shel Shabbos. Yes, you daven two Shabbos Ma'arivs and it counts as mincha. Avish hashniya b'al tashlumin tfilas chol. The second one really is supposed to be a weekday mincha. Mikol makim sha'atu Shabbos. L'maisa now it's Shabbos. Misval shel Shabbos. And therefore, v'misval shel chol, chayzer misval, it doesn't work. Chaim b'erev Rosh Chodesh. These are all the funny cases. And lo yisbal mincha. And now Ma'ariv has Rosh Chodesh. Lo misal arav shtayim. V'mishtayim yalav yavay. V'yisol arav Rosh Chodesh. Lo sal shachris shtayim. V'dam tu shachris. V'shach yalav yavay. B'shniya. Nachamal chayzer misbalel. What's the chiddush? Af al gav tashlumin lailu. Really, you're doing a tashlumim of a Ma'ariv. And a Ma'ariv, if you forget yalav yavay, we already learned. But still, it goes by the tefillah right now. And therefore, you daven two Ma'arivs. And therefore, if it's the second one, you forgot the Alviyava, you got to daven again. You daven two Ma'arivs. As it's Ma'ariv. You don't have to say Atachan Tanu anymore, you know, Imra. Why Navatam Bazeh? Kivish Atachan Tanu, Kamaya Avdallah, Vim Avdil Shebal Natfil, you never have to have in two Avdallahs twice. Therefore, once you say it once, you don't do it again. Vodin Lahebech. Shach Arvitz Motzai Shav, say if you got Ma'ariv, Misval Shachrish, time down two Shachrish, says Vim Ritzvil Sashtum Atachan Tanu. And you say in the second Shweina Esrei, Again, it's Sunday morning. You daven Shachris. You daven a second Shachris for Meir of the night before. In that second Shachris, you say at the Tanu Lefishemi Ikra Takana Sarech lehavdil b'tfila. You need to have havdalah in the tefillah. No, 29 points out. Even if you already said havdalah, you say at the Tanu. However, says the Mishnah Berurah on Kofches, if you miss Ma'ariv, you don't say Atachonan Tanu. However, later in Reish Sadi Bey Dalid, Mishmur says that if you did not recite Havdalah, then you do. But if you said Havdalah, then you do not. So again, the Pesach usually is like the Mishnah Berurah, which means if you already said Havdalah, you're not going to say Atachonan Tanu. Sif Zayin, Tab Rosh Chodesh HaMincha, you messed up Rosh Chodesh HaMincha, V'lam Yalvi Yavai, Ulemachar. You didn't say Alvi Avai. Therefore, you have to repeat Shon Esrei, and you forgot, and now it's up to Ma'ariv, and Lamachar in Rosh Chodesh. So what do you do now? Imkein Av Imisal Avishtayim. If you dive into Ma'arivs, what are you gaining? You dive into Mincha. The problem is you forgot Alvi Avai. So you repeat. You forgot to repeat. So you dive in Ma'ariv twice, but the second Ma'ariv doesn't have Yalvi Avai. Sheini Yalvi Avai. You're not doing anything. It requires Valel. And therefore, Al Kain in Masal Klal Le Tashlumin. Note 31 points out. Others argue and others say, you didn't see Alvi Mincha. It's like you didn't daven. And therefore, you have to daven again. The davening again is at a time you don't say Alvi Avai. Okay. You still have to daven again, says the Mishnah Berurah. Even though the Meir will not have the Alvi Avai, you daven with the das, with the mindset that it should be a nidava. However, says Mishnah Berurah, let's say you hit the jackpot, you messed up, and now it's Shabbos or Yom Tiv. Shabbos and Yom Tiv, we don't daven tefillah nidavas. Then you do not daven again. And we conclude with Sivchas Tfilas Mosaf Avabisha Zvanikal Yom. Really a Mosaf the whole day. V'imkein Havi Ma'ariv Tfilas Muchala. And therefore, if what's the next tefillah is really Meir, Mikol Makom in lo Tashlumin v'layla, no Tashlumin Musaf Hanayit, Mishum the tefillas Musaf Nitzkam Mishum, Nisham Barim Sefasenu is for the Karbanos, Kim Shav Zmanai Batal Karbanai, and therefore, if you miss Musaf, you do not daven two Meirivs. Pick it up from Siftas in the next year, B'siyata Dishmaya.